You are 24, with the most forgettable face imaginable. Not ugly, not handsome, just someone people never remember clearly. You grew up near the border, switching languages without thinking twice. Spanish before English, English before survival, survival before anything else. Your degree sits useless beside an empty refrigerator humming quietly. You are broke, directionless, invisible in every way that matters. But invisibility is exactly what the agency is looking for. They are not recruiting heroes, they are recruiting ghosts instead. And without realizing it, you are already the perfect candidate. They take you somewhere that does not exist officially. 18 months where your old identity slowly disappears completely. You learn to lie until truth no longer feels stable. They build fake lives that can survive real scrutiny. Interrogations break you down and rebuild you into something useful. You learn how to kill and how to avoid it. But one rule matters more than anything else they teach. Never get attached to anyone inside the mission, because the moment they become real, you are already dead. They give you a name that replaces everything you were. Alejandro Medina, accountant drowning in debt and bad choices. The agency builds his life deeper than most real people. Credit, history, relationships, everything can survive real scrutiny. From this moment forward, the cover is no longer separate. Alejandro is not your disguise. He is now you. You show up in Guadalajara wearing a cheap, forgettable suit. A logistics company booth offers the perfect, boring accounting job. Clean branding, polished smiles, and corporate theater hiding everything underneath. 2 interviews later, you are employee number 247. On paper, they import industrial cleaning supplies across western Mexico. In reality, they have been laundering cartel money for years. You start low, doing books, payroll, invoices, and tax filings. Nothing dramatic yet, just numbers waiting for someone to notice. The first month is routine, just numbers and quiet observation. Payroll, invoices, reports, everything looks normal at first glance. Then, small inconsistencies start appearing inside the data quietly. Revenue too high. Shipments not matching declared volumes exactly. Transfers repeating with perfect timing and identical amounts weekly. You do not question anything. You correct and refine everything. You fix mistakes others ignored or were too afraid to touch. Your work becomes cleaner, sharper, impossible not to notice. Ringo watches you without speaking, measuring more than results. After 2 weeks, he nods once, and that means everything. 3 months in, they decide to test you directly. Ringo takes you into a room with a tied man. His face is swollen, barely recognizable, barely still conscious. This is not questioning. This is a message for everyone. But Ringo is not watching the man. He is watching you. Your training activates before your emotions can react fully. You stand still, expression blank, like nothing matters here. Ringo nods again, and that means you passed everything. You pass information using methods no one would ever suspect. 5-star reviews mean priority. 1 star means abort immediately. 3 stars means check the dead drop behind the laundromat. A hollow brick becomes more valuable than any secure server. Your handler meets you at a dog park every week. You both pretend to walk a dog named Peanut casually. The dog has better documents than most real people alive. You talk for 90 seconds, then walk away separately. If anyone watches, you are just 2 boring strangers talking. That is exactly what keeps you alive inside this system. 8 months in, you know things no one should know. Names that never appear in any official record anywhere. Routes crossing borders like invisible lines on hidden maps. Money moving in amounts that stop feeling real entirely. Your intel leads to seizures and quiet arrests behind scenes. You become a living microphone buried deep inside the system. Everything is working exactly the way it was designed. But something begins changing that no one warned you about. Ringo writes a love story in a worn notebook. Leonora brings you soup and remembers your fake birthday. Don Abel talks about his wife like she still lives. They stop feeling like targets and start feeling human. That is the most dangerous moment of your mission. One night, the whole crew celebrates Ringo publishing his novel. They gather in a crowded restaurant, loud, messy, completely alive. There are toasts, bad jokes, cheap drinks, and real laughter. Ringo looks proud in a way you have never seen before. Leonora reads the dedication like it actually matters deeply. Don Abel falls asleep holding the book like something precious. For a moment, nothing feels like a mission anymore. It feels like friendship, like belonging, like something normal again. You laugh, you drink, and you forget why you are here. That single minute is the most dangerous moment of all. El Arquitecto notices you long before he ever speaks directly. He built empires out of numbers, not buildings or blueprints. He sees how you move through systems without leaving friction. Then one day, he asks for you by name, quietly. The promotion means access to everything the agency wants: accounts, routes, politicians, money flowing across entire continents. It is the center of the machine, the place you came for. But people who reach this level do not walk away. They disappear, quietly, permanently, without leaving anything behind. You just step deeper into something that has no exit. Your handler gets replaced without warning or explanation. The new one speaks like everything is already decided. Pressed shirt, soft hands, never been where you are now. He talks about timelines, efficiency, and closing the operation early. 6 months instead of 2 years. No room for debate. Not because of risk, but because of internal competition. Another agency might take the case if they wait longer. You realize this was never just about the mission. It is about credit, control, and who gets to claim victory. And suddenly, the agency feels a lot like the cartel. After a long night, you make one small mistake. You call your handler on a line you believed was safe. It was not, and it has not been for months. The cartel does not know who the mole is yet, but now they know there is one inside their circle. That single call changes everything moving forward. El Arquitecto begins testing everyone in the inner circle. Polygraphs, questions, pressure designed to break people apart. The hunt has started, and you are inside it now. One by one, people get called into a windowless room. Some pass the test, some fail, some disappear anyway. No one questions it. No one even says their names. The circle shrinks from 12 down to 7 quickly. Each empty chair feels louder than any gunshot ever. You start watching every face for signs of suspicion. Every pause feels dangerous. Every glance feels loaded now. You stop sleeping. Your mind never fully shuts down. You are not just hiding from them anymore. You are watching yourself for any sign of breaking. Paro is quiet, always wearing headphones, never causing problems. He manages encrypted communications and stays out of everything else. He is the last person anyone would suspect inside this place, which is exactly why his name appears on the list. Your handler sends one message through the dead drop. Let it happen. Do not intervene under any circumstances. If he takes the fall, the hunt ends immediately. If you act, the hunt continues, and you are next. This is not survival. This is a decision made in advance. On Wednesday, Paro disappears, and no one says anything. By Friday, someone else is sitting at his desk already. You did nothing, and that nothing stays with you. The final phase begins with something that looks completely normal. You organize a strategy meeting for future business expansion plans, legal cannabis, investment growth, everything clean on the surface. El Arquitecto wants every decision maker in one room. You build the presentation yourself, every slide carefully designed. 42 slides that gather every target into one place. The room fills slowly with people you now recognize deeply. Ringo sits in the back, writing in his notebook again. Leonora brings pastries, like she always does for everyone. Donna Belle waits outside in the car, listening to radio. You stand there, knowing exactly what is about to happen, and exactly what you cannot stop anymore. The final phase begins with a meeting that looks routine. You organize a strategy session to gather everyone together. El Arquitecto wants every key person in one room. You build the presentation, knowing exactly what it will trigger. Ringo sits in the back. Leonora brings pastries as usual. Don Abel waits outside, unaware of what is coming. You stand there knowing everything is about to end. At 3:47, helicopters appear above the building suddenly. 1 minute later, the doors explode open without warning inside. Flash grenades and shouting turn everything into chaos instantly. Nothing feels controlled or surgical like they promised before. Glass shatters, smoke spreads, and bodies hit the floor. Ringo is tackled only feet away from where you stand. His notebook slides across the floor, lost in the dust. Leonora screams that she is not armed, and she isn't. Outside, Don Abel raises his hands too slowly. A stray bullet hits him before anyone even reacts. It ends fast, but it stays with you forever. They move you fast, faster than you can process anything. Houston first, then Washington, then a room with no windows. 3 weeks answering questions you already answered in your head. Names, numbers, routes, everything you carried inside, now extracted. The operation becomes headlines, politicians calling it a major victory. You receive a medal no one will ever see publicly. Money placed in accounts that do not carry your name. They call you a hero, but it does not feel real, because you know exactly what that word cost to earn. You cannot sleep without seeing everything replay in your head. Ringo's notebook on the floor, pages covered in dust, silently. Don Abel raising his hands, too slow to survive properly. Paro's empty chair, replaced like he never existed before. They call it success, but it feels like something else entirely. The cartel is gone, but nothing actually stopped or ended. New groups already fill the space left behind quickly. The drugs still move, the money still flows everywhere. The only thing truly destroyed is something inside you. 8 months later, the call comes without warning again. Different voice, same tone, same decision already made for you. Another network, another country, another operation needing someone invisible. They are not asking, they are informing you what happens next. You realize you were never the hero of this story. You were a tool, something used and then reused again. Like a bullet loaded, fired, and replaced without hesitation. You pack your bag because that is what you are now. Not a man with choices, just something pointed at targets. And bullets do not decide where they are meant to land.